What's going on, guys? We're back. Instant reaction. Philadelphia Phillies split with the Washington Nationals. A walk-off grand slam home run by Brad Miller in the final fourth game. Huge play for the Phillies and a huge moment for the Phillies season. It's been a season of up and downs, Mark, and a huge walk-off home run there by Brad Miller. To split the series with the Nationals, now they are going to be going out west to the west side of Pennsylvania to play the Pittsburgh Pirates for a 3-game road series. And then I believe they'll be back. I think they do 4 in Washington, and then they'll be back in Philadelphia after that. But huge split there. And as the Phillies look dead in the water in the final fourth game, down 7, come all the way back to win 11 to, I believe, 9. And make sure you follow us on social media at Connor Mark Show, as well as subscribe to the YouTube page. Mark, a wild win today, man. And it's just this team's a roller coaster, dude. One game you're thinking it'll sell. Let's get rid of all these pieces. And the next day you're like, all right, let's buy the deadline. It's really just up and down, but the Phillies find a way to win tonight or win today.
Yeah, I mean, this team is, exactly like you said. It's really just a wild contrast of emotions with this team. I mean, even today, 9th inning, obviously they come back, they tie at 7-7, and then we're watching top 10 and Zimmerman gets a hit and Soto's around to score and it makes it 8-7. And you're saying to yourself, again, here we go with coming all the way back and then just letting up at the end. But, I feel the same exact way at times where, as we were saying before the show and really all season on the show, just, do you sell, do you buy? You don't really know with this team. There's so much uncertainty. And then, Brad Miller comes up and ropes that grand slam to walk it off below. And we were talking about this before the show, out of the zone. But, Brad Miller seems to really connect on pitches low and inside. And he made Clay pay there and the Phils walk it off. But again, just a really resilient win today. Again, just an awful start. However, really question the starting pitching decision by Joe Girardi. And as much, it is a lot of the players and how the players obviously perform. But in some of these games and some decisions that Girardi has made, I've been scratching my head on. And again, today, starting a guy like, I believe Christopher Sanchez was his name, called up from AAA. I believe his ERA was a 4.2 in AAA. So that, again, didn't really understand that decision. Then you go to the bullpen where you're probably going to need it this weekend. Didn't really like those calls, but Phil's found a way, down 7-0, just to piece together some good at-bats throughout the 4th, 5th, 6th, and then, 7th inning, really making a comeback and top it off in the 8th. So great win. Hoskins, really, he's been kind of inconsistent with hitting throughout the season. In my opinion, it's really a home run or strikeout most of the time. But he's been coming through. I believe he had 2 or 3 home runs this series. McCutcheon's been looking good. Bone looks getting back on track a little bit. So obviously throughout this rocky performance, there was a lot of ups, however. But this team really has to figure out, where they're going from here. And obviously that decision is really going to be widely predicated on if they acquire talent and acquire a pitcher or some type of, player before this deadline ends. And I know we'll dive into that a little bit later.
Yeah, there's, Dave Dombrowski's seen everything you need to see from this team. This is the final game until the trade deadline, because I believe the deadline is officially over tomorrow at 4 p.m. and the Phillies play at 7 in Pittsburgh. So now it's up to Dave Dombrowski to get on the phone, make some calls, and figure out what he thinks of this ball club and if he wants to, sell some pieces off in the minor leagues to make this team better for now. I don't know, because I'm always back and forth. One day you'll text me, I'm either buy, and the other day I'm sell. I just don't know how to feel about this team because it's just up and down. You just don't know what to get from them. I think at this point, if they do buy, you have to go either starting pitching or relief pitching. I know people brought up maybe going after a center fielder like a Byron Buxton in Minnesota, or obviously Starling Marte in Miami before he got traded to Oakland. But I think at this point, they got to focus on starting pitching, because after the Eflin injury, which has been a pretty big loss for them, it's really just Noah and Wheeler in that starting rotation who can really give you at least 6 innings, because you can't rely on Vince Velasquez, who's going to be going tomorrow, to give you 6 innings. You can't rely on Matt Moore anymore. You can't rely on Chase Anderson. You can't rely on Spencer Howard. These guys are really just, they're not really giving you anything. I mean, Howard threw 4 innings. Vince Velasquez has had 2 or 3 rough starts in a row. Matt Moore, same thing. So you really just don't know what you're going to get out of him. I think at this point, you're definitely have to go after pitching, whether it's a starting rotation or in the bullpen. And I don't know how much Dave Dombrowski could be willing to sell off. I imagine he won't be trading a Mika Bell, who's their top prospect, or Bryson Stott. But you may have to. I mean, they did have a deal in place a couple of days ago for Tyler Anderson, but that fell through due to medicals on the Phillies side. So I don't know what Dave Dombrowski is going to do. I think at this point you kind of have to buy to some extent because they are, I believe, 3.5 out from the Mets right now. After this series, they have 3 against Pittsburgh and then 4 against the Nationals. That's 7 games against bad teams. So hopefully you get like 5 wins out of that. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think the starting rotation is probably the biggest thing because I don't think the injury was Zach Eflin's long term. I think he should be back sooner rather than later. But after that third spot with the 4 and 5, you need guys who can at least go 6-7 innings with this bullpen.
Yeah, no, I totally agree there. I mean, if you're going to eye up anybody to buy, and again, I totally agree. You have to buy at this point. It's got to be a pitcher, whether it's a starter or a reliever. And really, in my opinion, I think you got to go after a starter. I just think some of these guys, like you alluded to, Howard, I mean, more to me is really not an MLB pitcher anymore in his career. Chase Anderson gave you some good relief in game 2 of this series. And Spencer Howard, it's the same story with him. He gives you 3 really good, solid innings in his past 3 or 4 starts. And then he gets to the 4th inning and he really lacks velocity, starts leaking it over the plate. And then it's a bombastic inning, for the Phillies. And that's really what hurts them. So I think the biggest thing is they got to figure out where, and Velasquez as well. He's had some bad starts. So I think you really got to figure out where these guys fit. And I think it's clear at this point in time that, you got to move these guys to the bullpen. And the guys that can't stay in the bullpen, you got to send them down and you got to go acquire starting pitching talent. So
I think I'd rather have them go get starting pitching than bullpen. I would like to get them both, but
I would too. But I totally agree. I think you got to go starting pitching at this point. Howard, Velasquez, Moore, and Anderson are not starters in this league, in my opinion. I think Howard would be a great relief arm, but
I think so too.
Yeah, staying on that topic. I mean, the starting pitching is the primary focus right now, and Dombrowski again, a little 23 hours out or 22 hours out around at this time from the deadline.
Now 21.
21 now.
At the time of recording now,
yeah, we're recording around 7 here on Thursday. So, again, I think the Phillies, looking at their schedule, though, moving forward and kind of progressing here, I think they have the best opportunity in this division. Obviously, it's really coming down to a 2-team race. I mean, you can say Atlanta. I know they bought Jock Peterson, and they're trying to stay competitive with the injury to Acuna and Ozuna being out and stuff like that. But I think the Phillies really need to buckle down. They have the opportunity, like you alluded to. They have the Pirates and then the Nationals, 7 games against some not great teams, not playoff teams for sure. And this is where they have to go out and buy. But I don't think you do it at the extent or at the cost of a Bryson Stott. So I think Dombrowski, I trust him in this situation. He's shown in Boston over his tenure there that he can wheel and deal a little bit and make some moves. That Anderson deal that was in place didn't look like they were giving up too big of names to get a good left-handed arm. Potentially, obviously fell through, but I have trust in Dombrowski. And again, we'll probably get this up before the deadline tomorrow. So definitely make sure to check out that ongoing poll as well on our Twitter of, what position you would like to see the Phillies acquire most. But starting pitching, totally agree with you. That's where they have to head right now if they really want to have any chance at playoff success here.
No, I agree. It's setting up to be a pretty interesting trade deadline. I don't know where the Phillies are going to go in that direction, but we haven't really seen any rumors as of late of where Dave Dombrowski could be acquiring, pitchers or any other players on the trade deadline. I know, was it John Gray, I believe, from Colorado is a name that was thrown around. Mm-hmm. I know the Phillies are rumored to be in that. But other than that, man, there's not been a whole lot. It's kind of been cooled down after the Phillies trade with Tyler Anderson fell through. So he's got, like I said, 21 hours at the time of recording this. You got to maybe make a move. I know the Yankees just made a move for Anthony Rizzo in Chicago. I know there's other guys out there that the Phillies fans would be interested in, like Craig Kimbrell, a big bullpen. He's probably the number 1 bullpen guy at the trade deadline. I know Chris Bryant is another name, a center fielder possibly who can come out and play. I know Bryant's mostly played third base in his career in Chicago, but He's another hitter on the offensive side who's obviously makes a big impact. And yeah, there's you can definitely get some starting guys like a Tyler Anderson type of pitcher is a smart idea to get at that fourth and fifth spot. And like we saw, I believe they gave up like the 29th and like the 30th best prospect in the Phillies organization. So it's not a whole lot. So you can
that's got to be like 50th in the MLB for how bad the freaking Phillies farm system is. Yeah, 29th and 30th.
Well, I mean, they're a bunch of A-level guys, so you don't really know what they can be. Like, you'll probably get a better idea once they're in AA or AAA. But a guy like him or two starting pitchers like him is more ideal, and they can move Howard to the bullpen and maybe get a bullpen guy. So I like to see them add 3 bullpen guys would be ideal. Or not 3 bullpen, 3 pitchers would be ideal. But we'll see what happens. It's been pretty quiet now. I don't know if he's going to make a deal tonight, but I expect if he does make one, it'll probably be tonight or tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and I don't mean to cut you off, but here's an interesting name that I think kind of got lost in the trade deadline talk here. I believe he was eyed to go to the Yankees, but that kind of fell through. But Jose Barrios from the Minnesota Twins, excuse me, is a good pitcher, 7-3, 3.48 ERA. Doesn't give up a lot of home runs. And I feel like this would be a much needed move for the Phillies. Obviously a higher level pitcher, so you might have to give up a little more. But he is under control until the end of next season. Basically just meaning he's under contract. So I think that's a good eye. Herman Marquez from Colorado, again, kind of a 1A to a 1B type of guy with John Gray. I think he would be another good candidate to eye for the Phillies. Again, these are a little more higher up. Probably have to give up a little more, but I think Barrios would be a good starting pitcher. I think you could slot him in, honestly, at the 3rd spot behind Wheeler on this rotation. So still a few good pitchers out there. Again, when it comes to this, I believe that Dave Dombrowski will make moves with the talent that we do have in the system. So those are 2 names to watch. Obviously, Craig Kimbrell, always chokes me up when I try to say it. But again, he was a guy who was, in Boston with Dombrowski and a guy that he knows very well. So I think Dave's going to save till 4 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to get close to the deadline, but I have 100% confidence that they're going to make a move, especially after the win today.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully a move can be happening soon. I know. Listen, the Phillies trade deadline tomorrow. We'll be out in Pittsburgh Saturday night after our show. Saturday morning, we'll be hitting the road going out to Pittsburgh. So make sure you tune in to the Connor Marks show Saturday morning on WCHE at 10 a.m. Yeah, we'll be hitting the road on Pittsburgh, man. I'm excited for it. I know we planned a trip about a month and a half ago, so we're gonna be heading out there. Noel will be on the mound, which will be pretty exciting to see him after a big performance he had last time. So it's exciting. I like going to away ballparks, man. It's the first time I'm going to PNC ballpark. So
yeah, same. I've actually never been to an away ballpark. I was thinking back on this today. Yeah, I know a lot of people go to Camden Yards and Nationals Park and Yankee Stadium, Citi Field that are relatively close. But yeah, it's gonna be my first time in away ballpark. I know we're sitting, I believe, in 400 up behind the plate. So we'll have a good view of Pittsburgh and stuff like that. And also, beers are probably going to be flowing a little bit. So stay tuned for a little live content maybe from the Connor and Mark show. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So definitely stay tuned. We got a lot of good stuff coming up here in the next few days.
As well as Ben Simmons. Obviously, a lot of rumors been swirling around him. The NBA draft is tonight. And there's some trades. I've never seen so many turn down trade offer like just thrown out online like that's been reported. Like it's been about like 2 or 3 of them. It's kind of weird. They just keep on seeing them and stuff like that. It looks like the Lakers are about to acquire Russell Westbrook, which is huge in regards to Bradley Beal and how he's feeling about the situation.
Yeah.
So that I think tonight's actually gonna be a pretty big night in the NBA. I didn't expect the Sixers to make a move tonight. I think it could happen. I think the likelihood is probably not going to happen, but it looks like the Ben Simmons trade could go down tonight. We'll see what happens. And the Flyers are making moves, and the Eagles training camp, man's underway. So it's a lot of stuff going on. So make sure you tune in Saturday, Connor Mark show, 10 in the morning on 1520 WCHE. We'll be there for an hour, and tune in.